If you lead a team, whether it's 5 people or 50 people, I want you to listen closely because if you're anything like me, you have spent years trying to get people to follow through and to hold them accountable and to take ownership, to stop dropping the ball so you can stop picking it up. And that endless cycle, it's not because you haven't held them accountable enough. It's because accountability isn't the problem. The real issue is that you are carrying more responsibility than your team, and it's exhausting you. You're doing the emotional labor, the follow-up, the reminders, the explaining, the quick check-ins, the did you get this done? Is everything okay? Hey, where are we with this? And you started to resent it, to resent the business, to resent the people, and you know it shouldn't all be on you. You have to stop doing the push-ups for your team. So in this episode, I'm going to show you the difference between responsibility, accountability, and ownership, and why great leaders stop forcing accountability and instead create an environment where their team wants to take ownership of their responsibilities. And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly what to shift in your culture and in your companies so that your people rise and you finally get out of the weeds. And for those who don't want to watch till the end of the episode and you want to know the information right now, click the link in the show notes and book a free discovery call with me where we can talk about what it is you are exactly struggling with in your business right now and how to move forward. So number one, you have to understand why accountability is failing you. Holding people accountable equals chasing, correcting, and micromanaging. It keeps you in the operator cycle and the operator role instead of the visionary. And newsflash, you can't do both at the same time. You cannot be both an operator and a visionary. Now, you can do both roles. You just can't do them at the same time. And typically the operator role ends up taking so much of your life that you don't get to have the visionary seat where you get to dream and think about what's next and plan for the future. And so that creates resentment on both sides. True accountability doesn't come from pressure. It comes from clarity and ownership. And this is the big distinction. Responsibility, accountability, and ownership are not the same thing. Responsibility is the task. What's on my plate? What's the to-do list, right? Accountability is answering for the results. Did I do what I said I was going to do? But ownership is an identity. It's taking initiative. It's I'm invested, I think for myself, and I solve the problems. I tell the leaders on my team all the time, we are paid problem solvers. And so ownership is alignment. When people take ownership, they do it in an environment that supports it, not when the leader demands it. Because most founders, most entrepreneurs, most business owners, most leaders get stuck in those responsibility and accountability loops. You built the company, you know how everything works, you know how it should be done. Why can't everybody just do it this way? And you assume that nobody else will ever be able to do it like you do it. And so you just do it because it's faster. And guess what? There's no real system of follow through, and there's just vibes and messages and memory, and you just hope that everybody automatically figures it out. And without clarity, your team cannot lead. They can only react to you. You've unintentionally taught them that you are the safety net. If they don't do it, you will come figure it out. Well, guess what? You have to stop doing that because that is where burnout is born, both for you and your team. And so you shift that accountability to ownership. And how do you do that? Great leaders create ownership by having clarity of expectations, that everything is very clear about who is responsible and what they're responsible for. It's the clarity comes from the outcomes, not the task. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm not telling you how to go tick, 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 tick down the list. I'm telling you that what I want is a weekend that's away, that's completely prepped for our entire team to have a leadership retreat. You're responsible for food and every single thing besides the content. Do you understand? Yes, great. Can't wait to be there. Let me know if you need any help. That is giving someone accountability And I'm giving someone ownership instead of accountability. If I was just giving them accountability, I'd be like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And who is exhausted? And then the person, in this case, that's a real story from my real companies, my real executive assistant, Rebecca. And instead, she's sitting there scared to death that she's forgotten something off the task list and is always worried about being micromanaged instead of just looking at the entire outcome, thinking through things herself. She is so talented, so gifted, and so are your people. And so getting the right people in the right seats to take ownership completely eliminates that need for micromanaging and that accountability. Tick, 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 tick. And so here's the next thing. It's got to be clear about the outcomes that you expect and that you want. But also, you have to decide the decision-making power. Okay. What are you going to allow them to make decisions on, right? In my company, I make decisions when it comes to money and contracts. Okay. So if it is anything over $100 or contracts, I make those decisions. Everything else, they have the power to be able and the autonomy to make those decisions. So you have to decide what you're comfortable with, allowing them to take ownership of, and they're going to mess up, and let them know you are going to make a mistake. Okay, but we're not selling kidneys here. If you're selling kidneys, it's probably a different story. We're not selling kidneys here in our companies. And so it's okay. Most of those mistakes we can fix. We can say we're sorry. We can offer the customer a discount or a free week or this or that. We can let them know that someone was in training and that they are learning how to make decisions. Most people of reasonable mind will have grace for that, and that's okay, right? And then also, what do they need to collaborate on? Maybe with you or with someone else. And you've got to build the systems that hold the work that's not you. So that could be writing out SOPs, standard operating procedures of this is how we do things. I saw something online this week that I'm actually going to try out. I usually don't recommend things that I haven't tried, but I've not tried this. But there's an app called Scribe. So instead of writing your SOPs, it will record what you're doing on the computer while you're doing it and write it for you. So you don't have to go back and document it yourself. So there's tons of automation and AI tools out there now that can help you with that. Whereas used to, it was like a whole let's hire a writer that can do a technical writer who can write all these things down. You need clear workflows. What happens? Who takes the bank deposits to the bank on what day? And so they know. And what are those accountability tools that you have in place? And do you have weekly scorecards, monthly scorecards? Because true ownership thrives when the systems support it and they let people know that they have the autonomy to be able to make decisions and that they're not going to get in trouble when they mess up on accident. Because they're going to mess up. Like people are going to mess up. You mess up. We mess up. I mess up. And you know what? When people realize that they're getting the culture is of a feedback and not punishment, they will start to take ownership and feel safe to try something and to speak up and improve. But you have to coach your people through this because sometimes they were raised in a home where every bit of feedback was punishment. And so if feedback isn't punishment, but it's with the intent to grow, it can totally transition your entire culture with just a few great conversations of, hey, I'm burnt out. I can't continue doing this, but you guys are great. And I hired you for a reason, and I want to start letting you do your jobs. And I don't exactly know what that looks like, and you may not know what that looks like, but we're going to work through this together. And when you start modeling that kind of ownership yourself and letting them know that our goal is to all be aligned and moving in the same direction to not be perfect, then it helps free people up to feel like they can try something too. But the key is, as the leader, as the visionary of the companies, the organizations, you have to stop overfunctioning in order for your team to stop growing. Because if your team is never given the opportunity to rise alongside you, then you never truly know what they're going to be capable of. And then they're not living a fulfilled life and they're not getting to try out their skill sets and learn new things to use. Got tongue tied there because overfunctioning by you actually creates underfunctioning from your teams. And so when you trust others with a real ownership, they rise. Okay. You get clear on who won't, and then you'll know. I always say, prune the bottom 5% of your customers and your employees. Those customers and those employees that continue to drain you, it's okay to let them go and be replacing them with someone else that's more aligned. It doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just says that you guys are not on the same page anymore, and that's okay, right? And I think that I think back to like my last 12 years of entrepreneurship, and having a childcare business is a very tumultuous industry, can be very, very hard, and you can be understaffed. And there's things that are challenges that are so hard, but also watching the growth and development in young people is so empowering and so exciting. And so to be able to give that role to a director and now an assistant director, and to lead teachers and to watch them take ownership of their curriculum and their schedules and the safety and learning of their children is just absolutely amazing, because not only are they being able to do something they love, they're being able to do it in an environment that supports them and their growth. And if I had continued to be the micromanager and the stopgap like I once was, where I felt like I was going to lose my shiz, then that bottleneck would have never allowed them to flourish and grow at the top. It's like almost like if you have a plant growing, and then you put put a piece of wood on it, the plant's going to have to spread really, 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 really far before it can ever come back up, right? But instead, if you take that cap off and let it grow and develop out the top, that's exactly what your people can do. Because when you lead through ownership, you stop reminding adults to do their job. You hired people to do a job. Let them do it. Let them do it. Then you get to make fewer decisions, which means you aren't having decision fatigue, and those quality decisions that you make each day are better. You can only make 2 to 3 quality decisions a day. Light bulb moment, right? And then your team grows and you get to operate as the visionary again. But the reason that you started the companies, and you have margin and peace and a life and mental space, and your business will grow as your people grow. And if this episode hit home to you, it's because you are leading from survival mode and not in alignment. And that is exactly what I help leaders and high achievers each week with in my coaching business, my coaching program. And so don't hesitate to book a free call with me. It's no obligation. We'll sit on the call for 30 minutes and literally talk about you. When was the last time that someone just sat there and listened and talked about you?